This is Girl's Last Tour by Tsukumizu. Don't be fooled by its fluffy appearance. Out of the many manga you could read, this one has one of the most captivating stories. So what sets this wholesome looking manga apart from others? Found between the desolate city and liminal landscapes are two girls, Chito and Yuri. Girl's Last Tour, or Shoujo Shumatsu Ryoko, is a manga about the pair who wander a post-apocalyptic city in their Kettencrad. Their goal? To get to the top of this megacity. You see, the city they live in is complex. It's designed layer upon layer, each containing their own respective cities. Chito, the smarter one of the pair, journals their experiences, while Yuri is more bronze and chooses to live in the present. The journey follows Chito and Yuri experiencing and exploring the world around them. Tsukumizu's interpretation of the post-apocalyptic world is odd. Oftentimes, the genre revolves around the characters returning to the state of civilization. But what if that wasn't possible? How would the characters decide to live? This sentiment echoes Plato's allegory of the cave with a twist, when the illusion of ignorance becomes reality. So how does one live in a world with no meaning? Early in the story, Chito poses this question to Yuri, the purpose of living. Their lives are difficult, they forage for food in a near-empty world to set out again day after day. Chito wonders if there is any reasoning for living in that monotony. However, she's not focusing on the correct question. What she should be asking is what makes life worth living. This question is largely left for the reader to interpret rather than being directly told. After experiencing the girls' journey, the short answer to that question is legacy. This book is a slice of life about two girls reaching the top of an abandoned city in a post-apocalyptic world. In other words, it becomes a story of fulfillment gained from exploring and leaving the last legacy of mankind. The first human the girls meet is a man named Kanazawa. He is a map maker making maps to occupy his time. Upon enlisting the help of the girls, during their travel, a malfunction happens to make the man lose all of his maps. From documenting the history, the legacy of an abandoned civilization born anew was Kanazawa's own legacy, even though what had essentially become his reason for living is what I would consider a pointless endeavor. The usage of a map would be to record geography, in most cases to find the way back home. Although there is no home when any random building can be lived in, there are no humans to use these maps either. Despite this, these pointless, flimsy pieces of paper meant so much to this man, or else he wouldn't have so impulsively tried to take his own life. The fact that creating objects of such mediocrity could be worth of life speaks volume of the importance of legacy and the fulfillment it brings. The second and last human the girls meet is a woman named Ishii. She's very proficient with technology, specifically with vehicles. Inspired by the blueprints of aviation history, she decides to build her own plane to fly away, hoping if she flew far enough she could escape the deteriorating city. During her first and only flight, the plane flies for a couple of seconds to then collapse. Weeks, even months worth of work went down the drain. Ishii parachutes down slowly, neither angry nor sad, but at peace. I believe it was the culmination of her efforts working on her legacy that created peace for her. I've noticed the people of this world, or what remains of them, have come to terms with death. It was never a question of how or if, but rather when. Ishii knew she had given her all to this project, dedicating what remaining time left in her world to it. She had decided she would have rather died with meaning than to have died achieving or attempting nothing. This closure gives her peace. Poetically, the legacy of aviation history led to Ishii creating her own legacy and giving her life meaning and fulfillment, even if futile. The encounters of the girls have not been limited to humans alone. Nearing the end of their journey, they meet an AI who manages the tower that leads to their goal. This particular AI is quite complex. It's sentient. Upon meeting the girls, the AI is happy to come into contact with humans. It offers to move the girls up the tower, but in return it would like the girls to terminate its program, fundamentally killing it. It muses how worthless all of life becomes when it never ends. At first it occupied itself with writing poems, what I believe is a coping mechanism. By using it, it thereby creates its own legacy and gives its consciousness meaning. But what good is a legacy if it is never left behind? This legacy, or lack thereof, creates a sense of pointlessness to living, a lack of closure, a lack of fulfillment. Whether is there to live if there is nothing to be lived? Everything in the story has a very subdued attitude. Tsukumizu always has an unconventional approach to stereotypical conventions. The conscious AI in most sci-fi works would seek destruction, but in this story it chooses its own destruction. This is the same case with the end, at the climax of the story. As their vehicle chugs forwards, It breaks down, serving them from beginning to end. It was to be expected. They continued onwards, bringing only essentials. Eventually, they ran out of fuel to burn, for heat. Chito decides to burn her journals to trudge forward. These journals were a collection of their daily lives. They walk up step after step, navigating the dark until they finally find a glimpse of light. And nothing. At the very apex of the megacity was an ordinary, desolate roof covered in snow. They sit down, eat their last meals, and sleep peacefully. In my opinion, this walk to the apex was the apogee of their legacy, specifically the journal and what it means. It's an archive of their lives, a fragment of them. The significance of these daily excerpts were as what mapping meant to Kanazawa, a sense of purpose, a reason for living. By destroying it, the girls had symbolically destroyed their reason for living. But just like Ishii's broken plane, even when hopeless, it's possible to find peace. The girls have always known the possibility of nothing being at the top, but had hoped otherwise. That's why they continued the journey, to give it their all, seeking closure, thus gaining fulfillment. Then sprouts the lack of legacy from closure. By having no legacy to leave behind is the death of their purpose, symbolically their physical death. Girls' last tour demonstrates how legacy becomes intertwined with the meaning of life. Sometimes people are so caught up tying the meaning of life to a precise, definitive answer, forgetting that it's the collection of past actions, a culmination of legacy that has led to where they are. We often chase fulfillment, foregoing past achievements. We forget to look at the whole picture, to sit back and appreciate what has already transpired. Even then, when leaving behind legacy, it doesn't need to be grand. It could be as meaningless as making maps and poems to as grand as building planes. All that matters is creating one in the first place.